here at the University of Copenhagen in the Department of Geosciences and Natural Resource Management and for the Department of Food and Resource Economy. I will say a little bit more about the department later, but I would like Henriette to have a chance to say a little bit as well, and Henriette has a child to pick up, so therefore I'll give the word to Henriette and I'll speak a little bit more afterwards. So Henriette.
Thank you. So my name is Henriette Steiner and I'm one of the researchers and teachers here in the department. And what has been really exciting when Klaus came and told about this collaboration is that it's really a way where we can see how we can build a community between the public, the ideas, and all the concerns we have about the climate urgency and some of the big crises that we face and which we look at as researchers, but which artists work with through other media. And that art can be a way that builds a community between us as scientists, the broader community, and also translates and works with some of the ideas that we can list in Excel sheets on graphs and connects them with the everyday experience, with the bodily experience. Because in a planetary perspective, we are not very old, but we actually, all of us standing here have bodies and imaginations and experiences that have lived through different economy, a different climate, different understanding of time. And we have experiences, bodily experiences with that, even though in a planetary scale, we haven't been around for very long. And I think that some of the works we have here can begin to show us some of that in other ways than the words or the graphs or the numbers that we work with in university as researchers. And that's very exciting about this exhibition and what makes it a huge contribution. And we're very happy that we can live with these works for a period of time in our everyday life. So thank you very much for having agreed and for Klaus to making the leap of inviting everyone in to the department with this exhibition. Yeah, it's a privilege.
And if I should just add on to that, I am Klaus Beyer and I'm the head of the Department for Geosciences and Natural Resource Management. August by Inanya, asking to put up this exhibition. And there were several reasons for me to say yes. First of all, I have a motto that I bought from somebody else. There's a crack in everything, that's how the light gets in. Sebastian Cohen. We are in a department that is situated in the natural science department. So we deal with natural science, we deal with things we can measure, but actually Department of Geosciences and Natural Resource Management, we work with the things we can measure. So geology, biology, trees, biomass, water, but we actually also know that science, the natural science, the world we live in is way more than what we can weigh. It's also things that we can see and things we can feel. And we know it, we actually do research into it. We have what we call a therapy garden. I mean, it's not rocket science. Whenever we feel sad, we go and watch the sea or we go to the forest. So we know that nature has a sort of a healing, an emotional effect on us. So that the world is more than what we can weigh and measure is something that we already know. We don't work very much with art. So when Inanya asked me if they could put up this exhibition that would actually deal with nature and with not only the physical impact of climate change, but also some of the more equality, emotional things, I felt that it was very appropriate also to invite this into the building where all these scientists are, that they could eventually be inspired or see the work they do in a different way. And of course it was also because it was August and it was not until January, I mean half a year. And then suddenly you called me. I mean, I've been a pain because I've did not answer the email straight away, and suddenly he was here, and I had to go to the surgery yesterday, so I even couldn't be here yesterday when we had this for the employees. But it's great to see that it's now up and running, and I have been looking very much forward to this day. And welcome to Naturescape, to the department, to the University of Copenhagen. It's wonderful. So thank you, and I hope it's going to be interesting, exciting for the next months that it's going to be here. So welcome.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Thanks Klaus and Adriere, both for the collaboration and the help with everything and the nice word you just said. So I'm Anna Riccardi, I'm the curator of this exhibition, which is made, as I was said, in collaboration with the lovely Department of Science, Forest and Geoscience and for 68 Art Institute. This exhibition is the last exhibition of a 2-year program, which is a European program that has involved different partners across Europe and has had as focus climate change, youth and education. So it made a lot of sense for us as an institute to decide to collaborate with a university and to invite various artists. The idea with this is to really change and challenge the idea of nature and culture as two completely different entities, but instead to look into that as complementary and as a one only entity. And this is what the artists have been doing in different ways, involving other than human elements and speaking about nature and with nature. I'm just gonna briefly say a couple of words for each work, and then I will leave the floor to two of the artists who are here tonight that are gonna say specific words for their piece. So on my left you can see Martin Poulsen sound installation, which is listening with nature and listening with the tree. And I'm not gonna say more, it's a very exciting piece, so I invite all of you to come very close and put your ears, hug the tree, if you feel like, to really get in touch with the nature through the tree itself. And Martin is gonna be way more specific about his piece in a few moments. Here in the center of the room we have Rafael Villares' work. Rafael Villares is a Cuban artist who I encountered the work of in Venice Biennale this year. And this work is all about finding correspondence between nature and humans. So both with the work, the Venus and the arterias of the body, you represent the body as a tree and the tree as a body. So both entities have a lot of microorganisms, bacteria that allowed both of them to live, and both of them are a community, are connected. As human beings, we're social, and a lot of study has shown that trees talk to each other through the roots and help each other when in need. So he has been finding various correspondences and has represented this through aquarelle. And also there is a picture by him, which is a part of a different series, which is called Paradigma, where he has strictly collaborated with science, because how do we create fact? Well, we create fact through science and to something that is measurable, as Klaus was saying before, and that's how science works. But as human, we remember moments, and moments are not always measurable, or not in a super scientific way, but it's more an emotional attachment that makes that moment important for the singular person, for the individual. So he has been reflecting upon this, and his picture is basically showing how the ice melts, but that's a moment that for him was important. So he's talking about science and art and how those two things can represent each other and talk to each other in different ways. Here we have Sara Maria Caranta. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. I'm really sorry, Sarah. And there's a beautiful piece. There's two chairs that has been invaded and modified by microorganisms and nature in different ways. And Sarah is going to take us through the process and talk more about the specific of this very interesting and inspiring work. And last but not least, we have invited also Hasmund, who has been, maybe I will leave the floor to Christopher for the last part for Asmund, since you know his work better.
Yes, Asmund is usually a painter and a writer, but he's currently doing a collaborative project called Planetary Expedition, where they go to various places which are important in terms of climate change and ecology, and writing sort of speculative fictions about it, but also producing image material. And here we have an image from the zone around Chernobyl with a plant that's refuses to surrender. I believe the title of the piece is actually No Surrender. Nature has retaken this wall. And over here we have an image from the Garzweiler open pit coal mine in the Hambach forest, which is, as it happens, very topical this week, as Greta Thunberg was arrested there at a protest earlier in the week, where they're protesting about the cutting down of the Hambach forest, which is one of Europe's only remaining original forests. Yeah.
I think it will make more sense to leave the floor to the artist who can guide you and unfold the work for you. So thanks very much everyone for coming. And yeah.
Yes. Then
Then
Sarah Morton.
Sarah?
Sarah.
Go, Sarah.
So, first of all, thank you for inviting us here. I hope it's as exciting to you than it's for us as an artist, this coming to this institution. My work is kind of like, I have collected those items. All the insects what I have found are already dead. I haven't killed any insects. Some of the peatland moss and peatland water from Finland I bring with me here. And there is polypores also, which have been dropped from the trees. They are not living anymore, because I asked it from the professionals. This is only dead flower of the mushroom, this polypore. It's not growing anymore. And what I think kind of like about the aesthetics, I think we are now kind of like in the area of the aesthetics. And I don't think it kind of like way of the aesthetic as a meaning as it's something like representing good taste or beautiful. Is it more like sense-based? Like we are in the area of sense-based. We can sense those things more than understand those literaturally or verbally or language-based abstract kind of like ideas. And it was interesting when you said about the crack, because I was going to a little bit talk about Jacques Rancière, French philosopher who have kind of like have theoretical kind of like this conversation between art object and the audience. He talks about cracks. The art is a crack which is needed. Somehow to maybe even put a disagreement on the place. But Rancière thinks that the art experience can happen only, and it's empathizing kind of like powerful, those power can happen only when we understand the viewer or audience as a kind of active role when they are having a conversation between work and the audience. Kind of like that that it's between them and the viewer is responsible this conversation, like how he would write their own poem from this artwork. So in that while, kind of like the aim of the artist should go kind of backwards, and there is only the artwork and the audience. And it's kind of like not anymore in my hands how the audience will take it. It's their relationship, not mine. And the audience bring their own life experience and own history and own kind of like cognitive skills to understand it. But of course it doesn't kind of like, not everyone kind of like can have a conversation just with my works. Could be that it doesn't open to you, it opens to someone else, or you don't open to artwork. But you might have it with some other work then. So I would say thank you and leave you to have a conversation with the artworks here. And if nothing happens, don't worry. It belongs also to art, that it doesn't, there is not always kind of success. Could be that it was just artists who try to grab the laws of the cards and couldn't. Thank you.
Okay, now I leave the floor to Mark so he can walk us through his sound piece.
Well, thank you, and thank you everyone for being here. I would just maybe first start with sending my gratitude for being here and for having you here and for all the things that has made it possible to be here. Even though I might be labeled as a sound artist, I'm actually mostly interested in the listening aspect of sound, because I in many ways see sound as a relation, or listening as a relation. Listening as this thing that you actually have to give something of yourself in order to actually hear what you're listening to. So it's more than a listening to something. It's more of a listening with something, which is a kind of concept that I've been working on and trying to experiment with this piece that I titled Tree Hugger. I was interested in kind of going into a embodied listening experience when I do field recording, as I normally do, which is to go out into the field and record sounds. But I wanted to figure out a way to be present with my body, with whatever sounds that I'm trying to engage with. Particularly here, I wanted to sort of open up the horizon of which sounds are included when you listen. Most often you would, or we would as humans, take our ears and point it to something to get a specific sound out of something. But in many ways you can also say that there's way more sounds and way more soundscapes included for this particular sound or this particular thing or being to be where it is right now. So I went to different forests in Hambach in Germany, near Cologne, and at Egholm, which is an island just outside Aalborg in the north of Denmark. The thing about these places is sort of like they're kind of like a before and after image, in the sense that the Hambach forest, which is a very, very old forest, has been destructed through the years by the Gasweiler mine, or the mining company. And since 10 years there's been activists living in the forest and building tree houses in the forest. So it's a soundscape that to me is not just these sounds of I went there in October. It's not just the sounds of the birds and like the nice sounds of the forest. It's also to me the sound of conflict. The particular place where I did my recording in the Hambach forest was actually a place where there was a fight between the authorities, the police, and the activists that was evicted from these tree houses. So when I sat there and I was listening, I could also hear the huge excavators that are in the Gasweiler mine. So like all of this combined became part of the soundscape. The way that I listened was through what is called contact microphones, which are microphones that doesn't pick up sound through air, but only through physical vibration. So that means that I actually, in order to actually listen with the tree that I'm with, I have to get into physical contact with it. So I spent in Hambach forest, I spent a couple of hours with one particular tree and just sitting and listening with that tree to all the environment around it. And in Eholm, it's sort of the other side of the coin. On Eholm, there's supposed to be built a highway through the island. So that means that there's gonna be a lot of human-made destruction there as well. But the soundscape, of course, is much more, depending on how you see it, quiet. At that soundscape, there's no excavators, there's no like traffic, like there's a bit of like airplanes from like the airport right next to it, but other than that, it's a completely different environment. When I went up there to record, it was super windy and stormy. So when I was actually climbed up to the tree and sat in this tree, and with one hand hold onto a branch, and with the other hand holding a contact microphones and my headphones on, and then I was just swaying and sat there for a couple of hours and listening to these like the very violent sounds of this tree moving about and being moved by the wind. It was a very powerful experience. So these sounds are then from Hambach and from Eholm are then, how can you say, transferred into this tree log here through a contact or through an audio exciter, which turns the recordings into physical vibrations just opposite like from the contact microphone. So this tree right here is vibrating with the vibrations from these two different places. So if we go back to listening and relations, in order to listen to this, like it's really hard to just hear with our ears. We actually need to get into some kind of listening relation to this. I need to listen out with my body in order to actually hear and sense these vibrations. So this is what I would like to invite you to do, and get in touch with these vibrations. Technically, I can say that it's 1 minute from Hambach and then 1 minute from Eholm actually. So you can hear if you can sense like a difference in the atmosphere of these vibrations. Finally, again, just thank you so much for being here, and I hope you will enjoy the whole exhibition. I think everything looks amazing here. I'm really curious to get into all the works here. So, thank you.
Please don't be shy, just go and experience the various work. There is a little brochure there, both in Danish and in English, if you want to know more about the exhibition or follow the exhibition and serve yourself with a glass of wine or soda then. And welcome everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. We are reporting from the University of Copenhagen.
Hello, Oslo.
Hello, Oslo.
Copenhagen calling.
Can you hear the vibrations?
You have to get very close.
Close, right?
Yeah.
You literally have to hug the tree. Oh yes, there you go.
There, yeah.
Wow, you can feel it. You can feel the vibration when you hold the tree. It's like a pulse.
if you lean your
Yes.
skull on it,
You
your
can hear it.
bones, you
Yes, you can hear it.
can feel it really well.
You can feel the pulsating as if the tree has got its own heartbeat.
And they have a lot of but I actually and then
Yeah, so I'll send you the evaluation.
Og den måde, de laver systemer til at hjælpe hinanden. Og
Ja,
synes jeg,
det tror jeg, altså jeg tror, hvis man kommer så langt, at man sætter sin egen krop
So this building itself is a green building, an environmental friendly building within the University of Copenhagen. And you can see a lot of plants growing inside the building, and it's designed like a greenhouse, which is pretty amazing. Well, this is Brem Lingo signing off from the University of Copenhagen. Thank you so much.